Thank you.
We're all set.
So, this is a meeting of the subcommittee of the town council that is considering tax increment exemption and tax incentive financing. The two members of the three-person subcommittee that are present today are myself, Paula Schnepp.
And Paul Neary.
And because one of us has to chair the meeting, and Mr. Neary has so graciously offered it to me, I will be chairing this meeting this afternoon. So in order to get through the housekeeping aspects of this meeting, we're calling this meeting to order. All those who are in attendance. Councilor
You can
Neary.
just
So
go around
moved.
the table, just
Yeah.
for the record, you can introduce yourselves,
Okay.
Sure.
just so that everybody knows who they are.
All right.
Paul Neary, town councilor, and obviously a member of the Tax Incentive Exemption Committee, and look forward to talking with all you folks, so it'd be good.
Roberto from Starbucks Construction.
I'm Scott Origi with Tax Incentive Finance. I work with Starbucks.
Okay.
I'm Roberto Maya from Starbuck Construction.
Okay.
Michelle Silva from Starbuck too.
John Curran, Director of Assessing for Town of Barnstable.
Corey Pacheco, Senior Planner, Town of Barnstable, Planning and Development.
Arden Russell, I'm a consultant for the Planning and Development Department of the Town of Barnstable.
Adam Moran, owner of 50 Main Street.
And we also have Director of Finance, Mark Mill, via Zoom.
Director of Finance, Mark.
Mark?
Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you too.
My back will be to you most of the meeting, Mark. Apologize in advance. And again, a little bit of housekeeping, because this is a meeting that's being recorded. I will just read it right off the agenda. This meeting is being recorded and will be rebroadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20. The chair must inquire whether anyone else is recording this meeting, and if so, to please make their presence known. Okay. This meeting will be replayed via Xfinity Channel 8 or High Definition Channel 1072. It may also be accessed via the Government Access Channel live video on demand archives on the Town of Barnstable's website. Okay, so we'll commence the meeting of a consideration of and recommendation to the Town Council on tax increment exemption applications under the Housing Development Incentive Program for the following applicants and properties. And I will take them in order. So we'll start with 50 Main Street, Hyannis. This is my first meeting of Tire TIF committee. I know Councilor Neary has participated in previous subcommittees. So I will turn this over to staff to initiate whatever process you usually undergo for these applications.
Well, generally, Niall or the applicant will present their project to the subcommittee, and you follow up with questions as well. That's generally how the process goes.
Public speaking is my least favorite. There we go. 50 Main Street, I've owned it for about 3.5 years. In the 3.5 years, I've done everything I could to make something that would be presentable and affordable. And every time that I got to that point, the interest rates went up again and just pushed me back. So that's why it's been so long. And I know that there's been conversation about being a little bit less generous with these. So I'm hopeful that I didn't miss this one as well in regards to just trying to get it within reach of me being able to offer tenants something that I would live in myself, with granite and all the upgrades that I would typically like to do. I've already had to scale back a couple of things, but I'm still offering additional parking, all of the things that I would like to see I've been able to accomplish. I also did add a 10th unit, which I didn't need to, but I did, trying to get it as a part of the, to help the town out as well. And I didn't realize how costly that would be between all the different applications and things that go along with that. So that's about $15,000 to $20,000 right there by the time I'm finished. So I'll answer any questions that you have.
Okay, so since this is a public meeting, and it will be recorded, and most of the participants who might listen to this meeting don't have any access to any of the file materials. I would like just a brief description of the project, location, and if you would like to defer that to staff,
No, that's okay.
whatever
So-
you feel most comfortable.
Sure, so 50 Main Street, it was a doctor's office, built in 1880, so I did my best over the first 2 years to use that structure. And it was deemed uninhabitable, unbuildable, unfixable by inspectors, and I also had Historic go there and take a look at it. At one point, it was just too much, so I was gonna sell the project. That didn't work itself out, so I went back into it. I was able to get permission to remove the structure and do 5 duplexes. Each one will be just over 1,000 square feet, 2 bedrooms, so there's really good space for a small family in there. It won't be tight, 8-foot ceilings. They'll all be electric ready. I ran the numbers on making them electric right now, and the utility cost would be double. So if at some point it is beneficial to go electric, they'll be prepared for it. They'll also be solar ready, and I may do that sooner than later. The drainage systems, everything throughout is up to snuff with the town. Everything that they required has been
So do we have a mock-up of this thing, or what the proposed structure looks like at all? Is it anywhere in this, here we go. Oh, I got it. I thought I drove by this property 1,000 times and everything was there,
I
right?
drove by it 1,000 times after owning it and drove right past it. It's
Is that
very
way?
easy to miss.
50's that way? That's,
Right across from C-Lab.
Okay, sure, all right. I think Joe Conway's got a doctor's office down there. and-
Yeah, Dr. Conway just retired, but he was 2 buildings down.
So you must have information that I don't.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't print the whole plan because it's like 260 pages, so
Oh,
I
okay.
printed one and it's in the binder there.
Good fiscal responsibility there.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Bill will be very happy.
So this, did you have, I'm sorry.
No,
did you
no,
have
I wanted to see the mock-up of
Okay.
it. It's nice to hear that there were 1,000 square feet. We've seen some projects that have come through here that are
Yeah,
a little tight.
so these will be, so this property is currently, has a structure on it. This will be taken down and you will be constructing 5 separate townhouses
Correct. We
each.
took it down last Friday, but yes.
So it's already down. Okay. Good. Down there for a little while. All right. Okay. All right.
So while you're perusing, I'll just summarize too. So again, for the public, it's gonna be 10 total units, but as Mr. Moran indicated, one of them will be an inclusionary unit, so that'll be rented to someone at 65% of the area median income. That value has been deducted out of the value of the tie, that the tie units can only be market rate units, so that one has been deducted. The total cost per unit is $260,500, which is really reasonable these days. Total development cost $3.1 million. The total value of the tie proposed at this time, on best knowledge that we have, is $300,753.
Do we have the current assessed value of that property?
Current assessed value as it sits today, $523,100.
Okay.
This would be quite an improvement at that site.
One additional thing to mention is I've been able to keep all of my rental properties under market rates, under what a lot of people are renting by $200 or $300, and I intend to do that here as well.
How many current units do you have?
About 25.
Great. The cost per structure sounds inexpensive to me.
I've been able to do modular, and at the end of the day, a lot of my money that I've infused into it isn't really taken into
So
consideration.
your participation is obviously the property, that's your participation in the project. Housing, as you know, in town, and we'll cover this also with the next group, has, we've seen a lot. We've seen some growth, right? I mean, we wanted some growth, we wanted some areas where the existing properties were, let's say, hadn't been invested in quite some time. And I think this is a tool that helps us to incentivize these properties to try to make them a little bit more robust. Hopefully, as I've said in some meetings before, shine the shoes on one property and maybe other folks follow suit, thereby kind of enhancing the area and community feel. I have had some trepidation, some concerns about historical participation. For anybody who's been on this, I know I've mentioned it before, in terms of the term. I mean, I'd like to believe that I'm gonna be still around when some of these projects have run out on the incentive end. From a personal standpoint, and this is not to try to make these projects unattainable, but in terms of the length of the incentive, I've really been my own head been concerned with going out 20 years. I really am. I think that capital appreciation, I think you're paying down mortgages, those type of things. I think the window on these programs out 20 years has frankly been too long. I know at the last TIF meeting, when we came into this, at least when I came into this, most of these were kind of already pre-established, these TIF and tie agreements out to those type of terms. And again, this is not to damage a project, but I'm not comfortable going really more, I'd like to say 10 years out in terms of tax incentive. So with that said, I hope this doesn't damage the project. I would further like to say that maybe there could be a little bit of give and take in terms of conversation on percentages and those type of things. But we've seen in the past these things going 20 years out. We know what has happened with not only the real estate values the whole bit, but that's a long, long time. I'd be lucky if I'll be still alive at that point, okay, just saying. So, not that I'm trying to leave a legacy, but I just think that some of these agreements have gone out too long. It's kind of my
I was just
thoughts on
gonna share with you this, you've probably got this, but our previous, in keeping with what Councilor Neary has said, that some of our original ties TIFs were more in line with what I think Councilor Neary and perhaps myself are thinking, a shorter period of time and perhaps a little, not quite as significant subsidy on the front end. I think what's really important, and I think we've learned the more, on the full council, the impact of these tie TIFs is the positive, redeveloping areas that some have considered blight in our community, or maybe not blight, but then, are serving another need that we've identified as important, which is housing. Since we began this path, though, we have seen a lot of development of especially market rate housing, to the point where, I'm beginning to wonder if we've kind of passed a threshold where our priorities might need to kind of shift a little bit differently. That being said, you both have come in good faith, and this program has been here, and we want to work with you so that, these projects are successful. And so this meeting might have a little bit more dialogue between the two of us and staff, just so we can arrive at a recommendation that we can make to the full council. Because ultimately, this isn't our decision, but we're here to sort of, kind of dig a little deeper. The other point is that a positive is that we're adding a value to our, town's overall portfolio of value, which, it helps us spread out the cost of property taxes across the entire town. However, these in particular end up creating a shift so that the benefit that you may receive in these projects actually gets shifted to the rest of us. So we have to be sensitive to making sure that what you need to make your project successful doesn't exceed what works for everyone else who has to kind of foot that, even if it's just a small amount of money per property tax holder. We also want to be thinking in terms of balance. This incentive is possible because of a state program called HDIP, which some of you are probably more familiar with than others. And it is been made available to gateway cities, so these are cities and communities that are considered in need of perhaps a little boost to, regenerate the housing stock in the community. So we look to some of our brethren in the rest of the state in terms of what types of incentives that they're doing. And in a report that, we have seen from other communities, ours has been enormously generous compared to other communities. I'm not exactly sure why ours veered in that direction. I don't know why, but I think in some communities, there were guidelines set up initially that then developers would come to and say, and see whether they could work within those parameters. In ours, I don't think we put any on. And so therefore, the staff and the committee basically received, it's not unsurprising that you would ask for as much as you could possibly get. So I don't fault anybody for asking for 100% for 20 years if you can get it, so. And no one has, but I'm just saying that's sort of what we've seen a little trend line where we've actually gotten more generous with these TIFs than sort of like maybe looking back. So again, that's how I'm looking at this. We don't have, or maybe we do, if we had a chance to look at it, super analyzing your pro formas to see whether your cash flow really needs that extra push. We understand you're both developing in the Hyannis Fire District. You're not getting any benefit from any tax relief from the fire district, and we know that is a significant operating cost for most of you. So I'm throwing out a lot of verbiage here just to sort of set, make sure the expectations don't feel like we're going in a completely different direction, but I think we really want to be fair to everyone who is impacted by the decision or the recommendation we make today. So with that said, I'm gonna throw it back to you for.
Well, this is great. I mean, Paula, and you're not privy to it, but, and I can hand this out, I assume, or
I have a couple
Oh,
more.
fantastic. Every project's different, so we're not trying to pigeonhole your project and say this is why and this is not why. But these, if you look at these, especially the gentlemen who have been involved with HDIP, as you kind of peruse through them, you can see the various towns, and many of the towns, are down to the 10-year or less period of time, okay? And then you can see some percentages in that. We're not sitting here saying that your project has to be that, but on the smaller scale, again, I guess I'd like to say I don't want it to be detrimental to your ability to do the project. I know at the last meetings, I kind of bandied about, my thoughts were, and I haven't shared this with Councilor Snap, but if we're gonna go do 100% exemption, maybe that's something good to make, again, this is in my head, do the first 5 years, and then the second 5 years, come up with a number, maybe it's, I don't know, 65% or something like that. But I really believe that we need to have a sunset on these things, and in a reasonable period of time that's not going to adversely affect the end result of producing, housing that we need. I will say this, and because you shared with me about the number of properties that you have, are they all rented? Because I'm hearing, I'm in the construction field, and I'm hearing that there has been a little bit of a slowdown in terms of market rate rentals. I don't know if you guys are seeing that on your end. I know that the performers, when you build them out, many assumptions take place. So your cost to build and things like that, so.
So for me, I am fortunate that they're all full, but I've had a good real estate career over 20 years. So I've taken all of my profits, and every property that I buy, I got remodeled. Granted, everything's brand new with air conditioning, and that's where all my funds have gone.
Sure.
So I know that a lot of places don't do that, and they don't provide that to their clients. That being said, a lot of what you touched on as well, the historic portion, I'm seventh generation Cape Cod, I really love it. And that's why I did my best to do, Black Anderson windows and do all these upgrades that I could have done it for
Sure.
considerably less, but I want to be proud of what I go by. I want other people to feel like they're on Cape Cod still. And so that's why it's taken 3.5 years to make this somehow work. And had I known about this program, I wish there was better communication within the town and its programs, because had I known this, I could have been 2 years ahead when this conversation wasn't, we're too generous, it's, let's get it out here.
I wouldn't say that it's a well advertised part of it.
It's not, and it's disappointing, a couple of my friends have gone through and nobody's mentioned it, so I found out about it last minute, and that's what makes it make sense to me, and makes it, I'm making less profit on all these brand new ones than ones that I've done all this work to over the years, so.
So would it be safe to say then, I mean, you mentioned that you're also you tend to be under the market rate, so I think ultimately, in building, in rentals, in that sphere, ideally, if you can produce, let's call it a superior product or a nicer product at, whether you're at 95% of what the average, people are gonna kind of come to you, and in my opinion, I have some rental properties. If you're like under that threshold, the place is decent, they value that. Your rental will
That's
value
why I'm
and
still
stick with you
full
for a while, so I'm hoping that is, in the end.
I've also got to put a number on there that the bank's still willing to lend on.
Sure.
So when I do that, I'm trying to stay at that 25, 26 range, while others at over 3 for a 2-bedroom, and still offer the same or better product. So it's difficult, the numbers are very tight, but by using this, it's not money I'm putting in my pocket necessarily, I'm spreading it back out to the working class person. 100% of mine are not, I have no Airbnbs, they're all working people that get up when it's dark and they come home when it's dark.
Sure. Is that, in terms of the ratios that I kind of said to you, is that something that would drastically affect your project?
Absolutely, yeah, I've literally been pen to paper, day after day for 3.5 years trying to make it work, and it would substantially impact it. This has made it so I'm not making a great spread on this. I'm hoping that in 5 years the rates drop, and then I'll say, okay, well, that was worth it.
Sure.
But right now it's really not worth my time. But I have to keep going. I have to keep working. I've got to keep people working.
Yeah, I mean, I think the front loading is what I think is most important, because obviously you're also gonna have a lease-up period, so you're gonna have vacancies when you finish construction. So understanding that, your revenue side is gonna be impacted in years
And
1 and 2.
It's really not just 1 and 2, it's throughout. In order for me to be able to keep the rents down long-term, which is really we're looking for it's gonna get worse, I'd imagine, over time, because this development can't continue and the people will continue to come. So for me to be able to keep these for the next 20 years, the rental's low, and my process, I don't know other people's, there are a lot of big builders that have come into town, and they're getting very high rents, which local people absolutely can't afford that I know of. So I'm trying to stay local, I am local, and keep it local, but it's long-term. It's something that my son's going to college, he wants to come take over, and to be able to keep another Cape Codder on Cape Cod would be great. But so this project absolutely makes a difference for my family.
Are there any staff input on this conversation? No?
We're kind of at the tail end of it in the assessor's office.
Sure.
We did some projections prior, but the next time we show up is at the end when we bring it live and get it on the tax rolls.
Right.
I would, if I could make a comment, Councilor Schnapp, to your question about why have we seen a growth in the requested percentages over the years in this program. Some of the input that we've gotten back from the developers is due to the increased cost of construction and shift of property taxes. due to the residential exemption, have all contributed to their increased costs. And I think this prior committees, prior committees felt that this was perhaps could be dealt with by adjusting the percentages.
I'm also aware that in some of these projects, and not usually the smaller ones, but some of the larger ones, where there was also tax credits provided by the state, that the projected rents are up maybe 150% from what they were projected at, and 850 Falmouth Road. So what were the projected rents at 850 when?
Yeah, I don't know, but probably less than these two projects right now.
Right, and now
Yeah,
they're
much more.
quite a bit more, so,
It probably won't last long.
yeah, and we know that just that difference, let's say it's $1,000 a difference in a unit from the projections. Think of the revenue profile on a project like that.
I will say that the state does expect the rents to be market rate rents. So the owners have a responsibility, once they are part of this program, to keep the rents at a market rate level. If the market goes up,
Yeah, so,
I
mean, I'd like to
I'm happy
think
to
that it's.
show my current rents for every property
Right,
to
no,
explain
it's
that they are
very
under.
difficult to actually, even your two projects are different in terms of scale
True,
and
right,
what, you know,
and
what we're
that's
doing.
the other thing, the
So-
state won't give me any additional money because I'm too small. They're
Exactly,
giving it to
I
these
totally
800
understand that,
units.
and we're just doing our due diligence, you know, because we have to look at, so it's not your project, it's just what, we're trying to look at it from a whole perspective. And, you know, awarding tax credits, which are part of the program, we signed up for it, we are fully behind it. It's just it's a question of scale and what we think is reasonable, but, you know, how do you talk to taxpayers when you say, oh yeah, well, they're gonna keep their rents, here they're market rents, and then they're up here, and they're getting a huge tax break
And
that's
that's
being
why-
paid by the rest of the taxpayers.
And I hope we're able
How does
to
that
look at
sound?
each project individually as opposed to just looking at what the group has been doing, because I know
Right.
a lot of these,
Yeah, and that's, I
massive
think that's what we're
companies-
trying to
Yeah.
discern.
I know one of them front-loaded all their expenses, that you had mentioned it earlier, I don't know them personally, but, and then they're selling it, so they've taken all the incentives, taken all this, and they're making $7-8 million, or however much, it's not my
Right.
business, but it's not my goal. My goal is to be local, to help the community, and
Right.
to survive, so.
Right.
The units you currently hold in your portfolio, have you had them for some time now?
I started about 15 years ago.
And you held on to all of
Each,
them?
I mean, I have a real estate company, so, which is doing nothing right now, but that's here and there.
And you know what?
So thank God
I
I've done
would,
this.
I would seem to think that, you know, you would hold on to this for another 5-10 years, give it to your family, but
Sure.
if someone comes waving, you know, a
I
big
won't.
check,
No. They've offered me
I know,
twice
but-
what something's worth, and I've said,
Right.
no, it's not mine. My goal is to be able to have my kids do something down the road, so. I do hope that we look at each project individually.
I've lost track of where this.
So what is our request for time and percentages on this existing project, on this one?
This one's 100% for first 5 years, 85 for the second 5. I mean, I think along with the 10-year piece of it is that, you know, nobody knows what's gonna be going on in 10 years.
When I started, taxes were so much more affordable.
Yeah.
And I don't expect them to go in that direction, so if
Yeah.
we're talking about this 10-year thing, in 10 years, what that rate is, plus the interest rates, because they're commercial loans, that could put me out of business in 10 years, so it's just something to consider.
The application was, again, was 185, 55, all the way to the end. We're in 2025. Just doing math in my head.
Oh, okay.
last 20 years ago. So that's what I'm considering, not us, we're there.
In a similar project, trying to get housing for my own folks, so. Pushing the falling safe is what they used to say, right?
And I've got one in college, one on the way.
I mean, I can understand where this came from. I honestly am not comfortable going out a term, I'm just not. But, and I don't know what the proper method is to, I don't know, I've never had like given a guy a suggestion, have him go work the pencil and see if there's somewhere in the middle. I'm really averse to going out this long anymore. It's just my personal opinion. I don't know how Councilor Schnapp feels about this. I'd like to be a 10, you know, I'm just trying to think of time. The front loading is the most important thing because that's where your immediate savings come from. For all the properties, it looks like it would be saving approximately $1,500 a month on your total, not right for it's 10 units. It's not dramatic, it's $150 a month. Spread out. But $150 is $150, right?
Well, I'm 250, 300 under market rent, so that allows me to stay there, and it allows a different demographic of person to be able to stay there.
And there are other.
I always wish we could make that a condition, but we can't. Yeah, we can't like tie what you're gonna charge for rent.
But you're making the decision, so I'm hoping you're considering my individual.
We totally are. I mean, that's what, I think we're listening to you and we're just trying to,
Yeah,
create
I knew I was coming in here with guns loaded in this direction, and I wish, I know your intention as well, but I've been 3.5 years trying to do this. It's not something that I just came up with last week, and I know that had I known about it and started 2.5 years ago, I wouldn't have to give this entire speech. I'm just hopeful that you'll consider it.
Just trying to think of it. Total, we don't know what the recent round is gonna be.
I mean, here's my idea. If length is more important than, you know, I could throw it back at you and say, what could you live with for 15 years? I don't know.
Would be to just leave the first 15 at what I suggested and go on, because again, what's the tax rate gonna be in 15 years is so unknown. And what it was 15 years ago when I started was certainly affordable. You could start to be an investor on Cape Cod. You can start to do these things.
Well, one of the things that
Not attainable if you.
we're trying to
if you're just
talk
starting.
about, and we haven't made much progress yet, I apologize, is, you know, where we can incentivize more affordable units, so that, you know, developers can feel that there's less of a burden to participate in an affordable unit, and that we can provide tax incentives, you know, additional incentives to,
It was
to either-
$15,000 that Yarmouth pays for that I'm now paying just on this project. So the town of Yarmouth pays for all that, all the advertising, all of the lottery, all of those things, so Yarmouth's,
The Ready Renters program, he's talking to get his
Yarmouth's already doing something that we're not.
I
It's
think
now-
Yarmouth charges people for that.
No, they charge us, if I can pay
Yes.
them to do it for me in
Right.
Barnstable.
Yes.
But they don't charge for, if I'm doing a project in Yarmouth,
Oh,
Oh, I see.
interesting.
then it's free.
I know we've got a committee working on that. I don't know whether it's got any traction yet, but the affordable piece is really that's extremely difficult right now. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, $2,700 a month for, you know, a couple,
It
making
also-
50 grand a year, it's basically unattainable at this point, you know? It's very, very difficult.
This all brings by making the one affordable, and that's down to 1,800, but I'm still doing all of the upgrades through that unit. It just squeezes it so much tighter.
Correct.
So, I could just do laminate, I could do all of these basic things, but I really want the building and the structure to last long-term as well. So using Anderson 400 instead of an entry level that's gonna fail in 5 to 10 years that I need to replace, I'm thinking long-term for myself as well.
I'm wondering, if we do a 10-year program, is there anything to stop us from having anybody come back in and requesting a tie TIF for a longer period of time after that period has expired? I mean, I don't know if the program even allows for something like
If you
that.
got a 10-year, and then
Yeah.
on year 11, you apply again for,
I don't know.
it's very optimistic that the program's gonna exist in 10
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, I don't know if you can apply more than once. You have to ask.
Well, I would hope in 10 years, we would have figured out something else in the town to incentivize maintaining an affordable, a reasonably affordable housing stock. Because that's what I feel like I want to be buying here is, I mean, both as the program intends, a rejuvenation of certain parts of town, but also a housing stock that, you know, the people in this town can afford to live in. And and I understand what Mark has said about the shift in, we've talked about this too, that one of the unintended consequences of our residential tax exemption is that it shifts the burden to commercial residential. So you do not get an exemption as a commercial residential that people who live in the town do,
But
so.
does it benefit the town that there is an affordable unit at my project where there didn't need to be? Aren't you trying to be within a 10%?
I think at 10 units, you're required.
You're required,
You're
yeah.
required to
But
know.
what I'm saying is I was gonna do 9,
Oh.
and I added that, whereas a lot of these 50, 100s are absolutely obligated to, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
by me doing that, it does help the town out to get to their 10% number that they're trying to accomplish.
Well, Aaron, you can speak to it, but I've heard that there's been some, like that whole lottery program, I don't wanna say it's broken, but I'm hearing it's been difficult to get people in.
Yes,
With
it's-
vouchers, and they're just not,
Yeah.
it's not,
Well, yeah,
That's
for,
my
I
other
mean,
fear
Paul
now.
would know too, for a number of reasons, you know,
And in hindsight, I would have done 9 units because I'm hearing stories about that, and so I'm anticipating having an empty unit because I'm stuck going through that
it's
process.
difficult. That's, at least the word on the street is what I've been,
It is.
what I understand.
So as you see, even the affordable rents are pretty high.
Yeah.
So finding the person that can
Correct.
meet that. You gotta get the person exactly at 65%, if they're less than that, they can't afford the rent, so it's a,
You have to
It's a
call them,
narrow-
wait
it's a
3
little
days,
needle
then
to
call the
thread.
next person, wait
Mhm.
3 days. There's a
And
process that
there's
I,
no local real portion of that, so, you know, you bring in somebody from wherever, Rockland, New Bedford, wherever, they can,
that's what's happening with most of them.
okay, not that I've anything about Rockland, it's just, they're coming from
Everywhere,
a long way away.
everywhere but here.
Well, again, I'm not trying to set a precedent here by any stretch of the imagination. I just, you know, I'm just kind of quick doing some math, and, you know, you get down to that 13-year spot, and it's $100 a month. Ultimately, is what the difference is in the tax. I don't know your number, I don't know how it's penciled out. I just don't know that would be a deal breaker for you, so I'm sorry that you're sitting in the chair. I honestly, I'm sorry, but this has gone on. And from the second I got on this committee, it's been my biggest stumbling block. 20 years is a long time. I'm not saying you don't deserve it, I'm just saying 20 years is a long
I
time.
get it. I'm just,
So,
but I also really hope you take into consideration that I'm a guy that was hanging sheetrock today. I'm not, these guys in the offices doing all this, they've gotten that benefit over the time that it took me just to make numbers make sense.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I mean-
that's what frustrates me the most, is that I've been in front of every person in the town. Nobody mentioned the program over the last 3.5 years. And I found out last minute, found a path to make the numbers work and acceptable, and
So
just
is
barely
that
acceptable.
true? No, I mean, really, I mean,
Well-
I'm not discounting what you're
Sure,
saying.
well, because I
I'm
think he
wondering what,
was,
well, how did this
because
happen?
he was able to develop by right,
Yeah,
he probably never came into the planning department, he
Okay.
only went into the building department for building permit.
So
He did, yeah, there was conversation with planning, there was site plan review,
right, but there was no mention of an option to do a tie to make it more affordable. But yes, we did have meetings where we saw each other and talked about the project. But at that point, I ran all the numbers and I had it under contract to sell it because I couldn't make it make sense. And then that person blew it up 3 months in a row with historic. They just went in like a bull. And so then I said, you know what, I'm gonna keep trying. And I kept trying, and this is literally what made it make sense.
I don't really know where to proceed, frankly. Is this something that, you know, maybe at least I could share what my thoughts are, and then maybe you wanna maybe consider it or table it, I don't know what the process would be, and.
Well, we could, you know, continue it if we come back with something that we'd like to see if makes sense. And we can agree, and this took a while to get this meeting set up, and apologize for that, but we could commit to a quicker turnaround, I would hope.
I mean, I just throw it out, I was, again, I'm just kind of doing the math, and I'm trying not to affect really the large monetary aspect on the far end of it. And my hope, my sincere hope is that what you do here, should you do it, it appreciates, it gives your family, you know, long-term success at this project. I mean, ultimately, like you said, you're a local guy, you're keeping it local, right? So, but maybe if you could look at this, my thoughts would be, you're stretching me a little bit because you said, so like 1 to 5, 100, 6 to 9, 75, 10 to 13, 50%, and then 13, it's done, sunset's over, at night, that's, I'm 61, so that's 2037, and now.
So what did I apply for with the, I apologize.
So you went 185, then at 10 it goes to 55, all the way out through the end to 44.
So can we just cut off the last 5 years and leave the first 3 sets? And then, so do the 55 through 15?
Sheets on the other towns.
What?
Let me see your sheets with the other towns.
I don't even know where that.
No, I know, that's what I'm saying,
I don't even know.
we're looking
where
pretty-
it ends. I just,
I mean,
by then.
that's why it's hard to, you know, it's hard to do numbers in the air.
Yeah, in Barnstable, I'm sorry, on this sheet, now this is a bunch, and I didn't make it up, so. We've got 62 applications.
Yeah, they're all over.
Out of 62. Best I can count, we have 6 that go 20. 6. Ironic Barnstable's in it, right?
And something else to consider is the importance of keeping Barnstable's rates somewhere as opposed to Brockton, where you can get a 2-bedroom for $1,000 a month. So they can build them, and then, you know, the taxes aren't the same in Brockton as they are
I
here.
worked
So
in New
what are
Bedford for 34 years, so
Right.
I know.
So-
Yes, it's a different market.
So we're in a place where the taxes are higher, the cost to build, the cost to get people here. But the other thing is, the people do make a little bit more money by working here as well. So if we can keep them working here, that'd be great.
I can bring up I have the Excel sheet brought up if you
Oh, nice.
have something to view.
Oh, I was actually looking at the,
We're looking at
At
the
the number of-
comparisons, right? We
right.
won't
Versus-
do that.
You know, you don't wanna.
Pittsfield, Springfield, Haverhill, Worcester, Chelsea, Lowell, Fall River, Worcester,
It's a different
Yeah.
setup, you know, so if we're.
Quincy, Holyoke. These tend to be on the, demographically, I would say, other than Holyoke maybe,
There's very
the lower cost or lower.
There's very little historic about
Yeah.
many of those places.
Right. Many of these are 5 years. Quite a few are 7. A bunch of things. You got it over there, so.
Most of them, I'm sure, are getting additional incentives and, well, through the state that I don't.
They could be based on the project size.
Even though I should get it because I qualify, because on paper it does. They said we're just leaning towards these big 100-unit projects. That's where we're giving our money. So these big developers are just getting bigger. And good for them. They've done their job
Yeah.
to get there, but.
I mean, I definitely don't want to do what Pittsfield does. It's 10 units, 1 year 100, 2 years 80, 3 years 80, fourth year 70. That's too much. Well, many do kind of escalate like that, interesting. Pittsfield must have a specific.
Cape has always been its own place, and that's what.
What's your thoughts?
Three 5-year tranches, 175.50. It gives 2 more years than you gave.
You know, and as a follow-up, okay? It's just the two of us, there's 13 people on the council.
Yeah.
I don't know that they would be privy to this stuff, but my opinion is that I was already hearing the murmuring of pushback on these things in terms of terms. So it's not, again, but I want to put you in a position where
So
hopefully the rest of the town council will be like, okay, you know?
I mean, if we could do the 100, just cut off the last set of 55s, it's a lot of money that's being cut off from what people have already been approved for locally. I understand what these other towns are doing, but
100, was it, when you have 175 50s? Does that work for you? 175?
no, if we did the 185, 55 and cut off the last 5 years entirely, that's like 100,000.
I think,
yeah.
I mean, I'm already I would do even in that first 5 years, I'd start
I'm
bringing it down.
losing
I mean, it's
you.
unfortunate that since this is my first committee meeting, you know, I'm inheriting some precedent that, you know, it never sat well with me to begin with. But I understand your coming here has a lot to do with these numbers that have been approved in the past. You know, that you might not have heard of this program until you started hearing what was really out there, and why not? Why not apply? You know, it might make a lot of sense and bring your deal to a financial conclusion that you can go forward with, and I completely understand that. So,
So who is it that's benefiting from these lower numbers that you guys are putting out? Because if the town is gaining from my having an affordable and we didn't need to, who is it that's, you know, trying to reach that 10% number? Doesn't the state provide additional funding when you guys have 10%?
no.
There's very little benefit to being at 10%.
Yeah.
It's
It
a
just-
number that's been around for a long time, it's a little bit of protection should a large 40B project come in, but
Yeah.
there's really not a lot of benefits for
Okay.
I mean, there's benefit to the,
residents.
yeah, the additional availability of, you know, of rentals available, but,
I mean, you may have penciled all this out already, but some developers are going to the affordable housing trusts and asking for, you know, cash up front to buy down a couple of units so that they fall under the 80%, you know, 80%.
So the issue with me getting additional money from the town and those trusts are then if I have somebody that I know that's a great person, they're not signed up, I can't rent to them.
No.
And I then have to now keep it vacant for somebody we all know has had them vacant for months on end, waiting and waiting and waiting to achieve that 65% goal that everyone has. And for somebody smaller like myself, these numbers are so tight it could sink me. It probably wouldn't, but it would be very frustrating to add additional units.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying that,
No, it was very
Yeah.
enticing to, when it just seemed like, okay, I just need to show that somebody on their taxes make that, but it's not the case. You actually need to go through, and that lottery also, just because somebody's picked first doesn't mean they're first. If somebody has a voucher, there are other things that push people to the front of the line that I disagree with as well. Because I've worked very hard to make these the way that they are, and I've inherited properties in the past that have been absolutely destroyed.
Sure.
And then I've got them to redo them again. So I do my best to keep good, hardworking people, you know, locally. And again, the numbers that you're putting out, it literally puts it out of reach in 3.5 years of me spending so many times and days of getting this done. The bank is waiting for me to finish this, to say,
Sure.
hey, where do we land? So
Well,
it does make a difference.
If you can find a way to make counselor's suggestion work, I mean, like I said, we'd be happy to, however it works, table it or whatever, get it that way. You'll actually have time to sit down and look at the math. I could give you 2 votes, yeah, so we'd have 2 votes for it. And at least that would give you an idea which way to go. I'm not trying to strong arm you, I'm not trying to do any of that. I
What
just-
suggestion is it? That
It was over 15, she's gonna push me out to 15.
See, I mean, I'm,
No.
no, I mean, I'm the one who's
I get
wanted
it.
10,
I
so
get it.
too.
Yeah. So, 100, 75, 50,
5-year increments.
get you up to 15.
Can we do the 185 and then 50 for the last set? And then, I mean, it makes a huge difference to me and not that big a difference down.
You said you weren't a good public speaker.
I know.
All of my other properties I'm paying full taxes on, all of them. And this program was in place also when I made another 4-family, nobody told me
I
that.
understand, but
I created from something that was an office building, created residential housing. Nobody through the process mentioned that I could do this. So I'm spending all that money on these properties.
I'm telling you, like, the pushback you're getting here is not the only pushback that
I
probably
know,
would occur.
I
So
know, I
just,
knew
you know,
what I was walking into and I didn't like
I
it.
would like to be able to give you, let's call it, a 2-person
Because see, here's
unanimous
the deal.
decision, and then you move on.
If we agree to this,
Yes.
you know, we're advocating, or, I mean,
Correct.
we're supporting that.
Correct.
And for the most part, I think we have a certain credibility with the rest of the council that, could, get it through, but I'm not sure I'm gonna have that same level of advocacy if we recommend a higher percentage at this point, so.
We'll do whatever. Do you want, you can take some time to
I
think
mean,
on this?
that's really, it's tough because I don't make the decision, you guys do, and what you guys, I know how it works, I'm not foolish either. Can we add my last property that I did that nobody told me about into it?
If it's under construction, I guess you could, I don't know.
I'll go build a wall there or something.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's gonna sound like we're splitting hairs here, but it's like $60 a month, right? $60 a month. And yeah, that, people on fixed income, I can make a break, but what I wanna get for you is I wanna get you a unanimous decision, just so that it's gonna say that the committee voted unanimously to offer this to you, and
Can we
it's,
skip the last and keep the last 5 at the 50 and do the 85 just for that? Leave the last 5 at 50 instead of 55?
11 to 20?
yeah, it's pretty simple, so it's
No, not
100,
20.
75, and 50,
Right.
5-year increments,
So
it's just
can we
simple.
do 185 and 50?
I don't-
We just, honestly, we're reaching here, we're reaching. And I'm the horrible,
I don't suppose anybody can run those numbers, you don't have a spreadsheet to. I mean, because we've got a tie value of 300,000, what's the tie value?
Yeah, I can bring it up and not share.
Can you work the spreadsheet while you're?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So what do you?
So 100.
Equals 75?
75,
50.
right? Yeah, I'm not gonna try to,
Yeah.
drag it through. 5. We got 5 there.
50.
1, 2,
And then
3, 4,
50.
5, yeah, and then 50. 3,
Didn't seem like the first one was changed at all.
4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 0, 0.
I gotta put up, we got 5. We have 4 there right now? That's the last one? Alright, and then 0.
0. $216.
Over $100,000 difference. And how much more would it take from you if you went to 85 on those?
$6,000.
Share that with
punch that 85 number in on 2030 for me?
2030,
Yeah.
85, you want 85 all the way down? or-
No, just that one.
Just now.
54. It's $1,600 divided by 10 is $160.
That's substantial.
Is it John? Oh, wait a minute. Is that door locked?
I'd still rather go back to the shorter period, than
Nine.
to be honest. I mean, the higher percentages in the shorter period, I would be. Yeah, that's fine.
Uh-oh.
You don't get into this. Oh, boy.
What did I miss?
I just was, no,
Oh,
I'm laughing at him coming in and.
yeah, get it.
It'll squeeze us pretty good in the next group. You've had the practice.
It's not like that, it's not like that, John.
are we giving him an 85 in year 6 and
We
then
wanted, we just
75?
wanted to see.
So,
Yeah, we're trying to-
the originals, we're in 50 Main. We're trying to come up with a, let's call it a negotiation, for lack of a better, shouldn't really be, but negotiation. This was the ask. And my concern is the length of time, going out 20 years. So we've been kind of grinding back and forth. I don't know whether I should have you make a decision, but the conversation has led to an offer, for lack of a better word. I didn't want to go past 10 and 12, I was thinking, we're kind of settling around 15. This is a gentleman who has, he builds these things, he owns them, he keeps them in his family, he doesn't, they're not building flip jobs. So,
Well, since I missed most of the meeting, I had a doctor's appointment. I tell you, I want you guys to, I'll just recuse, but I'll watch it, if that's all right.
so
Not
this.
that to answer your
I mean,
So now
again,
is- yeah.
here's the deal.
Yeah,
The world has a lot of uncertainty in it,
sure.
right? As we speak, we don't know, what's gonna happen even in the next 12 months. Giving that 5 years of 100% gives you a nice solid start, right? And then we're still giving you, I mean, I think looking out past 10 years is like, who knows? We don't even know what the municipal tax rate's gonna be. Could be more, could be less, I don't know. I mean, it's.
Projections, it's considerably more.
And we're interested in trying to make this happen now, and you get the benefit from it,
I mean, it's still $210,000.
Yeah.
It's not-
of taxes that are shifted from this project to other property tax. People paying property taxes in this town, so, I mean, again, divided by the number of property tax dollars, not a lot, but. See, Paul, if you're on CPC, you just give money out.
It's a lot easier.
But you're
much
giving
nicer,
money
isn't
here
it?
too. We are giving money too. So
But,
it's
you know,
just a question
the
of
number
how.
one thing is I want to make sure the project starts. I want to
Yeah,
do it.
absolutely.
Any incentive.
We
I
get
give,
3 at 85 and then 75 and 50.
he must have been a Texas Hold'em. I know. What it is. I mean,
I'm
we're
really trying
just,
for long term.
I mean, I think I would feel much better if, and I'm not trying to be that guy, I swear, but, take the 100, 75, and 50, perform your math. I'll hope that it is not detrimental to your project, because we're just talking about words here, but I can give you, I don't want to go this long anymore, I don't, and I can give you support on that. I'll do that. And this is not please, there's no harm in this, I'm not trying to create you any undue discomfort. I mean, if, you don't have to do this, you don't have to do it.
Well,
But at least I can get it on the table for you.
The fact that this could have been done before while it was all done and it wasn't presented to me, so yes, this is a substantial
I
difference,
understand.
substantial.
I understand.
Had I
But
known it was here, this project has been going on for years.
I know, sir,
You could have
that,
applied while
that's not
everybody
something
was
that,
being approved.
I can't control that, right? I can't. I mean, there are many things in my life I'd love to be able to have that magic clock and turn back time, but I can't, right? So I can only look at what I'm looking at here. I can tell you, when I was sitting home looking at your project, I was like, there's no way we're going anywhere past 10. I'm just telling you that in my head. And I've said it before in prior meetings, I'm just,
Sure.
so I really believe that
Okay.
This has value for you.
I'm not going to get further with another meeting.
Okay. All right. Janine.
Unless you do the 85 for 3.
I just, again, it's not a shell game, it's not a. I'm probably setting the table for these gentlemen who are sitting to my left, but this is something, I mean, the scale of your project is small enough, the impact on these numbers have that much, in my head, impact on you
It
being able to
does,
get the job done, but
Corey will
you know,
tell
a 10% at a 6 to 10 year, we don't know what's gonna happen, but I don't think it's gonna, it's a make or break. I don't want it to be a make or break. You can tell me it's gonna be a make or break. We can all wish that this was done a year ago, but I can't, there's nothing I can do with that, and I know, and I'm just telling you, this is the best I'm gonna be comfortable looking you in the eye and agreeing to. And
I'm assuming utilities are paid for by the tenants?
Correct.
Okay. So at least you don't have that,
yeah, good luck with that.
yeah, expense to
Runaway
worry
costs of
about,
electricity
yeah.
these days.
And that's why I spent another 20 grand bringing gas and doing all of these things to make the tenants want to stay as well. So I could have made another $30,000-$40,000 had I made them all electric, but then a tenant couldn't
Were
afford
there
it.
electric incentives on these things as well? 10 units?
I don't know, I'm sure.
Some I've heard that there's some.
Right, but then the, for example, the tax credits, if I were to get them, the electric credit compared to gas credit is literally double, which means the electric bill is double if I went that direction. So I can't keep people with double the utility costs, and it costs me triple to get the gas run there, all high efficiency equipment and all that. So all of these costs is what I'm really doing. I'm trying to be practical is not just making the bank happy, but making a product that a person wants to live in and can afford to live in. It's a substantial difference.
What were your costs to put in the gas for this development?
The gas, I think, was 19 and change. I don't, yeah. 19.9
And all of them would be gas
gas, yeah.
appliances and gas,
And high
gas.
efficiency, yeah, over 90-something% and all of that. And
Hot air,
Could do-
you're doing hot air?
and air conditioning. So again, all of these expenses that I added was to be able to keep a quality tenant in
Right.
place.
Make a motion? Or have we reached a point where we wanna,
I can make a motion, sure, God. I'd like to make a motion on 50 Main Street, Hyannis. This agreement between, it's Niles, right? Yep, now more. That TIP committee make a recommendation to go 1 to 5 years at 100%. Participation 6 to 10 years at 75, and 11 to 15 at 50%.
All those in favor, second? Approve.
I haven't listened to the
Okay.
agreement, so I should probably not.
I'll second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Nays?
Mr. Moore, I wish you luck with this project, I really do.
I believe, this is a technical question, when this goes before the full council, you'll have an opportunity to make a presentation. And you are welcome at that time.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is our recommendation. Okay, all right, so
So
this is not your last chance. Okay, at the rodeo.
Myself and you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your time. Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. That was a little one.
That was a small one.
That was a small one.
Compelling.
Cindy, I need the book. Can you bring the book over?
Yeah.
We haven't got to the second one.
No.
How's it committee, right?
94 starts. 5 if you need
No problem.
These are the plans, and then it goes from there. So it starts at 5.
All right. Okay. So this has the added benefit of taking down the church and putting up housing, right? Okay. Why don't you sell us on your deal?
Shark Tank.
Exactly.
So my name's Roberto. I'm from Starbuck Construction. So I live on the Cape since 2001. So I'm from Brazil. So so I was a painting contractor on the Cape all these years, and then in 2015 I started doing construction. So I got my CSL, started on the construction side of it. 2018 I started Starbuck Construction Service, and so we do a lot of labor for other contractors, developers, and everything. So they all, we have a lot of labor. Since the zoning changed, that's when we start thinking about developing in Hyannis. So I have 3 kids. All one of them is on real estate. So 21-year-old. So once the zoning changed, we started. I brought up my friend and a partner, Roberto, as well. And then we decided to start developing some of this, especially on the new zoning with the 4 stories and all that stuff. So I was already looking at some properties before we even knew about the new zoning. Today we have another company, which is Prime Hub, that will take care of about 30 properties. So we have a lot of rental properties as well, all under market rates. As if I show you guys my phone, I have calls every day asking for rents. So that's when we decided for the church. The church was the first project we bought. So I came here to the town, to the zoning department. I spoke with, I forgot her name. The church was not a historical church. So as all you guys probably already know the story about the church. After we bought the church, they found out that the church was historical. So we have to move a piece of that church to another church, which the cost of that, you guys already know too,
Actually, you should just tell us what.
We just so far, we have a lot of engineering going on right
Yep.
now. We have a lot of architectural plans going on, which we were not expecting any of that stuff in our, in our
Original
budget.
plan, right?
Yeah. Not only that, once we did our first plans, was supposed to be a 4-story building, a big building on that corner, and which zoning told us to do. After we did the plan, spent $40,000 with plans and everything. We brought it back
Down
here,
to 3, okay.
and they said, "Oh no, it's a big building. We don't want to see that building in the middle of Hyannis." So we decided to do 4 little, buildings, 3 stories, which total of 40 units. We're gonna have 10% affordable housing over there, mandatory. We're willing to do more. We're still gonna talk a little bit more with affordable housing about that. We have another project going on right now, as we already broke ground in 210 North Street, which is the 7-Eleven.
Okay.
Yeah, do we have that on our sheet? Do you have tax credits on that one?
No, so we're not requesting anything on that, we're just doing it
Okay.
with private money and, you know, and, because we did try to do that whole project as affordable housing. We kind of offered, but we heard from people here that, oh, it's not gonna be possible, they're not gonna allow you guys to do it, and all kinds of stuff, they're not gonna help much, that's what we heard. So the project was sitting already for 2 years and we decided, you know what, let's just break ground and keep going, because we can't sit on this project anymore. So we don't have anything on that project, like you said, but at 94 Stevens, we're still trying to figure out all the numbers over there. Cost of construction, I saw you guys talking about cost of construction, I can tell you guys many things why cost of construction is going up.
Yeah.
Like, building codes are changing every day, you know, in the construction, so they're making construction so hard right now. With the energy rating, with all that stuff, like, all of our projects are gonna be electric, because it's not because of only incentives, because building electric today, there's a lot of ways of savings, you know, like,
Are you doing mini splits?
we're doing mini splits, yeah, so the way you do installations, the way you do windows, it's all by code, so it's a really tight building these days. So, but at the same time, it's a lot more money to do that. So, speaking, what else do I have to say about that project? Yeah, it's 40 units, yeah, so it's mix of 2 3s and 1 bedroom, so it's 2 3-bedroom units, 32 bedrooms, and 8 1-bedroom units. And we have, so 4 of the units are affordable. So which is gonna be 2 1-bedroom and 2 2-bedrooms. Not only, can I just say back about the 210 North Street, the project that you asked me if I'm getting any incentives for, we're spending $200,000 to bring sewer to that project, so we're paying the town $200,000 out of our pocket. We're sharing with the guy across the street, of course, but we're paying out of our pocket to do that, to, you know, like, to, how do I say, to improve the sewer. So, that's where we are, so that's when we decide to do the tie, like, a lot of the things, like, a lot of this stuff too, of the new zoning. I think we were one of the first ones, you know, the last 2 years there, been learning a lot with the town, with the zoning, with the building, with all of them, because there was a lot, once they changed the zoning, nobody knew anything. It was so hard. So, and like I said, we were one of the first ones, that's why our project is taking too long. That's why, like, a lot of questions was like unknown, they don't even know how to answer us, what to do, like, as you can see, I spent $40,000 on that first plan that we didn't even use it. So, that's.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say is that they're going to HTIP credits.
Yep.
And as part of the HTIP credits, they need to get the tie in order to do that.
Absolutely, we understand
Yeah.
that you need to get credits, it's a question of,
You know, without the HTIP credits, financially, it's not feasible.
So are you involved with the sprinkle project then? Because I see 45 units on
Yeah,
Barnstable
so the
Road.
spring, so that's one of the things, a lot of this, so, and then not only that, I'm building in cost,
Yeah.
because I have the labor.
Yeah.
As just building the cost, I can't make the numbers work. You know,
Yeah,
then the sprinkle job, like,
Sprinkle did get a.
But you're the contractor.
so they hire us to do their
I
projects,
understand.
so.
Yeah. Okay.
a lot of nice drawings here, I can't find anything that gives me an orientation to
We
that.
have a little
Yeah, we have a
3D.
presentation.
Oh, nice.
That would be great.
I don't know.
Where are your drawings? I can't
Sorry,
find
but
them.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to
That's all
share.
for them.
So I did the same
I'm
thing.
looking all around.
There's a couple hundred pages. And this has already gone through historical,
Yes.
Hyannis
So
Historical?
the front of that church is gonna be moved to West Main Street, you know that church in West Main Street across the elementary school over there? There's a church on the corner of Lincoln Road. So we're gonna move the front of the church.
The one,
Yeah,
the
the facade.
Baptist church that was redone,
Yeah, the one on the corner at
it
Lincoln Road,
had the fire,
yes. Yeah.
they're
That
gonna
was-
move it there?
Yeah, so we're gonna add
Where
to
are
the
you-
side of the church, because with this piece is not gonna be any seatings or anything, it's just gonna be like,
Side
Facade.
entrance.
yeah,
What's that?
It's gonna be a side entrance.
it's
just
gonna be a side entrance, yeah, to their church.
To this new church.
It's not gonna be the front, it's not gonna be.
We're just
any-
taking a piece of the church that's currently over by Hyannis Fire, putting it over on West Main Street as an entrance.
On the side, not on the front. It's gonna be on the side. The
Yeah.
building.
On the side on Lincoln?
Yes.
No, the opposite side.
It's across from the gas station? No, that's
No,
not,
so
just
the-
redone.
So the,
CBS.
so the churches are like here, for example, so this is Lincoln Road here, so the church is gonna go on this corner, this entrance here.
Huh.
So that's where the piece is gonna go.
There's a Walgreens there,
Which-
isn't
The Walgreens is over
Walgreens on
there,
this
there?
side.
so you really can't see it over there.
No,
They have a lot of issues with parking as it is.
that's
You're
one of the
gonna
things.
take up more parking.
So another thing, this is what we're also, that's another
Oh,
piece
boy.
we are getting it to
So
help them out.
did someone require you to put it there, or how did this all
So
work?
we could even put in our backyard if we want. That's what the historical said. If I wanna give it to anybody, they, like.
That's what they told
So,
us.
so this pastor, so we knew some people from the church, so we asked the pastor was an architect in Brazil, so he likes the historical piece, and so I talked to him and he said, no, I have no problems bringing this church to our church, it's a nice piece of, church and all that. So that's when we told the historical about it.
It's gonna be on the corner of Lincoln Road. Am I thinking this out right? There's already a church that was just redone.
Yes, just finished
Just
paving,
finished. It's been
right,
under construction for about
5 years.
12 years, I think.
Yes.
I don't know. It's been a long time. And it's going on the corner.
It's on
It's not part of this project,
No,
but
but it's
whatever.
actually
just-
going on the side off of the road, so it really has not a lot of,
You're not gonna be able to see it's just the entrance of this church over here, as you guys
just
can
a
see.
sort of
It's just
vestibule.
Yeah, just the vestibule, exactly.
It's really preservation, right? It's really
So where
preservation.
those nice windows are and all that stuff, so.
So this last view, am I looking at,
Can you-
Stephen?
Oops, spin it back, however, I'm not good with this.
So,
So wait a
So
second, so the
this is
Hyannis
the-
Oh,
Youth and
now I see
Community's
it.
gotta be over
Is
here.
over there, it's up north. So you're going mostly down,
So it's gonna be 3 buildings like in, what's that street again? It's in Barnstable.
that's a high school.
High school,
High school,
right? So
it's
3
nice.
buildings on high school and 1 on Stevens.
Like L shape, right?
Can you start that again so I can see the bird's
Yeah.
eye view, please? Okay, and the rotary's down here,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, because that church is in that point,
okay.
so.
What is the white box, what is that right there?
well, that's just,
This-
the other building, but
Okay,
That's just,
Yeah.
that's just
another
part of the
fenestration,
3D, nothing with the
yeah,
building.
nothing with
so that
ours.
won't be there?
No.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
That won't be there. It's
No.
not part of this project.
No, it's
No.
not.
So this takes,
That building exists, it's just not part of this project.
yeah, so this property takes the whole triangle basically in that.
Yeah,
Okay,
Now,
This is.
again, this one, unlike the one we talked about earlier,
Stevens.
that one, I don't think anyone's gonna, the scale and location. This one obviously is gonna have a few folks that are gonna, no matter what you've done to meet all the criteria. So I've got to, I need to understand that, what approvals have you gotten so far? I mean, you all set to go, you're just looking
We're
for
re-
this,
we're ready to go. We already
Everything
got a
has
building
been-
permit and everything,
okay. I mean, you had by right permitting.
yeah?
Historic, you
Yeah.
got passed by bringing it down a story and moving the,
Yes.
the church entry,
This is the
okay.
church as it exists right now, right?
All right. What is down in this corner, right here, in Bassett and Stevens? There's a building here, right there, it says Latinx Action Group or something.
Latinx Action Group, something?
Let me see.
That's right on the corner right here. See, here's your buildings.
So the fire department's right here, right? So the fire department's here, so their parking lot and everything.
Oh, here, see, this is the fire.
Yeah.
Okay, right?
No, this is Mazda.
That's Mazda.
Oh, this is the fire
The
department.
fire department's here, see the fire
Okay,
department, the church is here.
Yeah, that's fine. What's this building
You get a building.
right here? Are you gonna do anything with this?
This, no, that's, what's the name of that building that they also gonna do a lot of construction on that building right now, it's,
It's like an office building or something like that?
I forgot the name, what.
So that's
Because
gonna
it's going away is what it
It's a
looks like.
nonprofit,
Oh, no,
right
it's over
here,
here.
right? Yeah, it's a nonprofit,
No, it's not there, because it's in, see right here?
Something how.
It's in this, it's in the circle, this is, what street is this?
No,
No,
that
this is
isn't,
not
that's
a
just
street.
the
Oh,
edge of
that
the.
isn't the street,
Okay,
okay.
this is the building right
this is
there.
the building, yeah.
Okay,
You
and
got it.
Bassett goes over here.
There's another one over here, almost
Yeah,
when you get
Bassett
to.
is here, yes.
Okay.
So that's the building, that's the nonprofits here.
Yeah,
So our buildings are gonna be here.
yeah, and then one here.
I think they're moving.
So it's gonna be
It's
one
across from
building here and three
HYCC.
buildings here. alone.
Okay, one
Oh, I
here
know,
and three here,
Independence.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I get you, okay, so it won't, this won't have any effect on it?
now,
Okay,
It's outside.
as you can see here, like, I think it's better for you to kind of, the way it is, so that's Stevens, that Bassett's right there, so that's what I'm talking about, the nonprofits over here, behind you.
So setbacks, heights, all that stuff has already been approved
Yep.
by right through planning.
Site plan review, yeah, it's,
okay,
building
these are
commissioner.
three-story buildings, looks like? Okay.
It doesn't have to go to planning,
Doesn't have
it
to.
just had to go to Hyannis Main Street, historic.
Actually, it was
Or just-
Barnstable Historical Commission,
Barnstable
since
Historic,
it's 75 years or older,
okay,
so.
and
if
it's
it-
is it outside Hyannis Main Street?
Hyannis Main
Correct,
Street.
yep.
Wow.
You're lucky,
Okay, the total of
you'd never be here.
40 units,
Yeah,
okay, and 4 affordable, so it's 10%.
yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, we're willing to do more, but we gotta talk to affordable housing about that.
Okay. So it might change. We'll see, okay.
And there's a direct correspondence, if you get a deed restricted affordable unit, that'll come out of your calculation for the,
Comes right off the
Yeah, but
base,
not
the
that- like
affordable
right now,
units.
the way we're structuring, we're not accounting for, going for more affordable housing. Just the way just the way the mandatory ones for now.
I'm gonna wait till Paul, Counselor Neary gets back to ask me, but if you wanna ask any questions.
Maybe I
go
can
ahead.
ask you a question.
Sure.
If they're gonna try to get more units, how would that go? What would be the
You know, it
benefits?
generally is a completely parallel path.
Yeah.
Which sometimes is problematic, in terms of, but they're really separate processes. So the Affordable Housing Trust will consider an application to create more deed restricted housing units than they need to provide
Okay.
under inclusionary.
Okay,
And generally, there will be a award of funding for
okay,
those deed restricted units. That's completely independent of what we provide
Yeah.
on the tax incentive side.
okay.
But together,
But the Affordable Housing Trust can, let's say subsidize or
yes,
add monies into the project to make those affordable in
Right.
perpetuity like they are.
where they might run into, so this is, if they're applying to HDIP for tax credits,
Yeah.
80% of the units have to be market rate.
Oh, okay, so,
So they could only do 4 more. Four more, yeah, to make it, to stay within the 80-20 range.
And the tie could be revised if you were to vote the tie in with this request, and then they went through the trust process and decided to do more, you could revise the tie.
still 4 more units, that would be helpful. We'll see what happens. It's not beyond our purview.
So, well, you heard their whole previous discussion.
Sure did.
Many times.
A lot of the same things apply. Paul is coming back, so. It's okay. We didn't say anything too important. There was just some discussion on they may determine they want to make a few more affordable. They're limited to only 4 more affordable. Obviously, they would be looking for trust funding to buy that down.
That's not
Deed
my purview
restricted.
of this committee anyway.
Not the
so,
purview of this committee.
Neither is design, neither is any of that.
None of it.
Doesn't
The only thing I'm looking at it is, again, we're a committee, we make a recommendation, the full council makes a decision, and we can't control what variables they're going to put in the mix in terms of their decision-making. You know, we're looking at it from the financial aspects. Again, I'm not gonna repeat the lecture that we, or the whole conversation we had before.
Shorter term, I don't mean to be fresh here, but I'm thinking that this project is less incentive demand in terms of the viability of the project as opposed to the last project. I think that, again, percentages and term would be a big thing for me. I don't think it would need to go out that far. I think, frankly, you probably still have quite a few more hoops that you gotta jump through after this, but I know that you have to secure TIF tie in order to move forward anyway, so.
Right, the deadline, the timing is the HDIP application is due on the April 28th. So, but they won't even entertain the application until you have a committed tie for it.
Sure, yeah.
Is this a 2-read, Cindy?
Yes.
So we have the April 4th, 17th.
4th and 17th.
So
The third.
Is it third?
Third
Third and
and seventeenth.
Third and 17th, thank you.
Okay.
And it's budget CIP on, first read is April 3rd, second vote is April 17th.
I know the HDIPs have kind of opened, you know, there's been some flexibility on applications. Is this a hard
Yeah,
deadline?
it's a hard deadline. They used to do a rolling
Yeah.
deadline, and now it's 3 times per year. The first one's due in April. I think the next one is due in June, July-ish.
August,
And then the
December.
December, yeah, thank you.
But I think the pre-application, I think there's some flexibility if the tie is substantially in process, meaning if it's before the council, maybe for first read, I think there's flexibility in terms of that April 28th deadline.
Yeah,
The way I
they
read
would
the
need
NOFA.
some assurance, I mean,
Yes.
they're pushing back on that a little bit, HLC is, and they really wanna see like, you know, a negotiated tie agreement. That's,
Sure.
I mean, we could make a first read by April for 3rd.
and I can always follow up with HLC.
That would be up to Corey if he can get it on by April 3rd.
We're too close then anyways. Do we have enough days?
Well,
Is that a 14-day?
Yeah, well, I'd have to do the math there, but also it has to go, when I do the order rationale, it has to go to legal. And legal is very backed up currently, so they have to review the order rationale before it moves on to town council. So there's that aspect.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we could do our best to have a first read before your deadline, but I don't know if we could do better than that, and then August would have to be.
Yeah, that might be enough just to,
So what are you looking at for tax credits?
this is the standard thing.
No, not
Yeah.
that, the HDIP application.
2.2 million, which is 55,000 per unit.
What's the, looking at 50 Main Street,
This is there.
thank you, perfect.
When was the property purchased? How long ago did you get it?
2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Yeah.
Is that your equity, or was it a lot less than that?
Well, you bought it outright, so you.
Yeah.
I think it was like $1 million.
Yeah.
$1 million. Like 995.
995.
Yeah.
August 2nd, 2023. Sound about right?
Thank you.
So,
Mr. Carmen,
interesting
correct.
question for our assessor.
I got it
And
right in front of me.
I probably know the answer, but as a church, they didn't pay taxes, right? But if that's irrelevant to the current owner who now has an assessed value of $1 million or so?
But we did have them as a taxable entity well, that's because it was 2025 and it's
Okay.
no longer a church. Prior to that, it was tax exempt.
Okay. And the value was based on
It was
highest
sort
and
of,
best use, or how
yeah,
did
we
you
still
view?
gave it a fair market value. It's just, it was exempt. But the DOR requires us to apply a value to it for adding up our total town valuation, which we use for end of year processes.
Okay. I'm aware that there is a property that there's an abatement that has gone in place, and so the actual gap between the new assessed value is larger now. Or
So it was someone, if I think I know what you're talking about.
50 Yarman?
Yeah, okay, yeah, yes, that was another TIF that went into place.
Right.
And I don't know exactly what happened there. It was during the transition when I came on board and before. But it is all corrected, the abatement's been processed, and that's moving forward now.
But their base is less than what we originally approved at the town council meeting.
Oh, okay.
So basically that they're benefiting from a larger span between the base
Yeah,
and
their base,
the
yes.
assessed value. So
Yep.
that tax credit value that we approved is even more generous than it was at the time. So I just wanted to make sure the assessed value that's going in on this is
Yeah, the
reasonable.
starting point is
Okay.
correct, absolutely, makes sense.
So your construction costs look about very similar to the ones that were on 50 Main Street, actually.
To build out each unit.
Yeah. Well, just construction costs.
That's all on the street.
Yeah, about 243. Yeah, that's, I mean, it's probably not
That's
inclusive
not the
of
total,
everything.
yeah.
That's not total development
Right,
costs.
that's-
That's just straight construction. This is, it's closer to 330 with the soft and everything else,
Yeah, it's like 325, I think,
325.
roughly.
You talk cost per square foot,
Yeah.
looks like
Not count-
317.
Not counting the land fee.
317.
Oh, 325 right here.
What can you break down for?
So our approval or recommendation of a tie-tip opens up the door to a $2.2 million,
That's exactly correct.
HDIP, credit
Yeah.
to the, are those variable at all, or is it based on a per unit cost? I mean, so if they accept it, it's,
They do it based on a basis, like a qualified basis.
okay.
So whatever the cost, there are certain costs that they exclude and certain
Okay.
costs that they include.
So 2.2 is a pretty good estimate of what you would,
You'd apply for a little bit more and then you take those HTIP credits and you sell them to an
Right.
investor.
Right.
So that's the 220.
okay, all right.
Program began as just a rehab, HDIP began as only rehab.
Ah,
So those basis costs are really variable, they
Yeah,
were much
that's
lower than new construction, and then they added the new construction.
So it represents 20% of the total development costs anyways. It's considerable. Well,
so your proposed rents are also, they're below some of the market rate rents that we have? I mean, are you feeling pretty confident you're gonna stay in those ranges, or?
Yeah, like I said, like, that's why I was telling you guys, I have some rental properties already that people call us all the time as well, like, because that's what, I'm in construction, so I do maintenance on my properties, I don't have to pay anybody else to manage my properties
Right.
and of that stuff, so that's why we're confident doing that. We are gonna manage, all the units ourselves, excluding the affordable units, that we're gonna have somebody else
Let's do that.
do that.
It's the BHA. It's
Yeah.
gonna do the monitoring of that.
so to offer a tip, I mean, what would be the, 7-year with some incentive, I don't know. They just need the tip, is what they need,
Yeah,
right? Just. Or you're not even comfortable doing a tip.
it's too many numbers.
I know, huh?
Numbers. I mean, I don't wanna be random in doing any of this
I
stuff.
understand.
I mean, I wanna feel like there's a reason for our decision-making.
So
our
again, I started
recommendation.
looking at Pittsfield, and it's obviously a structured deal, it's very structured. probably should be that way. It's easier on the contractor, it's easier on the people getting into the program, they know what they to expect. Doesn't become a, did I wake up on the right side or the wrong side of the bed today? Right?
Or did I wake up too late?
Too late. So,
Which I felt that was the nature of the conversation before.
all right, let's go to the spreadsheet. Let's see. We're doing 40 units, correct?
Also different.
40 units is 1 to 5 on this particular one is 80, and 6 to 10 is 20. Bars all over the board. Oh, interesting. Haverhill's got money, right? Haverhill have money, 45 units. First year, 25, 20 in the second, 15 third, 10, 4th, 5. Yeah, that's unique.
Oh.
So these are, so.
Yeah, I know these are other.
Right, remember,
Project.
these are historical,
Yeah.
like these percentages and times
Yes.
ended up being kind of historical for us last time.
Yes, of course, yeah.
And then the conversations were about length of term.
So what is the most?
These are all, these are 62 total, these are.
So many pages here.
Yeah.
And this actually shows statistics that kind of established by other communities.
You don't need this right now. Okay.
These percentages?
This is how many years.
Oh, these are, so it's,
So-
1 to 5 is 85%,
Yeah.
15, 60%.
Yeah. Yeah, the other project size 24.
Okay.
We're gonna have 20%, like I said, with the H-dip
With the H-dip, so 2,200,000.
on a $10 million project. 20%, right?
Yeah.
It's a nice, it's a great incentive to do this. Do you have any thoughts, Paula?
These are number of units right here.
No, the number of units are over here.
All right.
Right, and then this is, so there were 62 of them that have been done recently throughout the state, right? So these are the towns, they were down in Pittsfield, Chelsea, Lowell, Worcester. I just tried to compare it to units that were
Yeah.
close, like, this was 70% years 1 to 5, 56 years 6, and then it immediately dropped off, nothing went beyond year 8. So
You
the
think
trend seems to be.
20% is, 20 years is too far out, yeah.
That's kind of what.
Yeah.
My conversation, my thoughts were on stretching these things until get in the ground for a decade.
Ten years, 185, 55.
So these are all between 10.
Something
Pretty
like
close to
that.
what I'm
It's
seeing
all
on
between
this.
5 and 12 years, it looks like.
4, 3,
Here's one
3.
20 years.
433. Need it out of 10 years.
Yeah, they would, it's really that beginning that we wanna make sure, and
Correct.
Yeah.
I think it's most helpful.
The majority of these are 12 years or less.
Yeah.
There's a few that are 20 years.
6 out of 63,
Okay.
20s, and they're all Barnstable.
Yeah.
They're from,
That's
guys from off Cape, not Cape. That's what I'm saying.
But first-
That's one of the things that you gotta take consideration too.
have a few former counselors to call.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, like, that's,
been on this committee for a while. He just hasn't had the persuasion.
Do you have another copy of that?
Sure, there's some floating
There
around.
was some floating around.
I don't want
You
to,
can
here,
share.
I'll give it.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
To break it down to that shorter period of time, a project that you don't think necessarily needs it other than to qualify.
Well, I can't
Just
speak.
your thoughts, I get it, yeah.
I mean, I think the need is both from the tie and also from the HDIP.
Yep.
So without, again, it's like they go hand in hand, without the tie, you don't get the HDIP, and without the HDIP, it's not financially feasible.
Yep, doesn't work, yep, yep.
You know, as we talked before, we'd rather front load it
Yeah.
and, you know, let you go after year 10.
So that actually mirrors some of the other ones I saw in
And it's close to some of the earlier, you know,
it. So we're using 1 to 485. 2 to
I was
7,
gonna give them 100.
okay.
For the year one, or year 1 through 5?
3.
3, okay.
Proposal.
Or 4, 1, I'm throwing numbers at you guys, it's your turn.
John, when does that start? It's 100% placed in service?
Upon occupancy permit.
Okay.
I think we should be.
I think actually,
And then keeping in mind, it's always, the land
is-
portion
which is
is,
normal.
I would,
full
other
and fair
than
market is
our
purely on the
precedent,
building. But
I know
once
it's
that
okay.
It's
occupancy
making
permit's
it,
granted,
and I
Almost
think
full
by
taxes,
shortening it
goes
to
away.
10, we're
Exactly.
making a big change
Yeah.
and tranching it.
yeah,
Faster.
Somebody's
Yeah,
done number
yeah.
6, number the HDIPs.
yeah,
Or-
to get the final completion.
433, 185.50,
It goes into effect for the first fiscal year
whatever.
after.
Yeah, so like
Yeah,
you
that's- that was
might,
the
right, you
issue.
might get fully leased up, like, let's say it's July 1, right, and you get fully leased up in August.
Yeah.
Yeah, 11 months of complaining.
Then it would start the following.
Exactly, exactly.
It all follows that very strict guideline upon occupancy permit and lease up
So
time.
some
Five.
people get bigger tax bill when they do
The
that.
only reason why I
Yeah, I
mentioned
think you made that
we did.
recommendation when we were doing the numbers at the first
We
year.
did it
you
over
have your
15
taxes.
years. Yeah, it's a smaller project, each one
Yeah,
whatever.
that was, actually, Arden made that recommendation.
Arden, great recommendation,
will
appreciate it.
Well, we were dealing with a person who wasn't prepared for that,
But yes,
so it was fresh on our mind.
So we don't want to hear, okay, I'm good.
Motion?
We're gonna give you a motion, see if you
I
can.
want you to
live
think about this, ready? 1 to 4, 100%. 5 to
it.
7, 75%. 8 to 10, 50%. I gotta write that down. 1 to 4, 100%.
100% for the first 4 years, 75%.
And 5 to 7, 75. 8 to 10, 100%. I'm sorry, 50%. That certifies you get in the dough, meets dip, you get you out and running first 4 years. Hopefully the construction gets done the first 4 years. Hopefully the project goes through all the rest of the hoops it's gonna go through before it gets again in front of us. Am I making sense? You get some hoops to go through.
So I don't wanna be arguing again.
Well, you've seen it happen already.
No, I'm serious, like, one of the things like,
We don't.
we just, yeah, we don't wanna be like, I understand you guys and I appreciate that, but like, for us to make sense,
Yep.
if we can go, I know you wanna do 10 years, Paul, and I totally understand that. If it makes sense to us to go to the 15, but you guys can reduce like the last two, you know, the same 50%, the last 5, the same 50%, the 5 to 10 to 75, and then 100 on the first 5. If you can do that, I know it's kind
So
of,
your deal is a lot different than this deal.
Yeah.
no, I
So we
totally
just did
understand, but
it.
it's a, yeah, it's a lot, but it's a lot of big, you know, like a lot of
And
this
yours is a
stuff.
lot more risk,
Yes, that's what I'm
Totally.
saying.
but on the other hand, you also might be getting a fairly substantial infusion of credits, you know, and that's what's making your project work. So I'm not taking away from that, I'm just saying that we're looking at, you know, we're not gonna look at every project and just
I
hand
totally
you
understand,
them.
but if we can go to 15, see what you guys can go to 15, and then just, you know, to help us out on that kind of stuff as well. Like I said, you know, we see a lot of projects, especially you just said, Paul, in Barnstable, you know, that for guys that come from off Cape and do things on the Cape, you know, and then we're Cape Codders doing stuff on Cape, improving the city, improving Hyannis and all that, and then we're not getting,
Well, like the
incentives.
really big projects that are happening over in Independence Park, no ties or tiffs.
I understand,
Not-
but a lot of them already got it, and then, like, here we are, we're trying to do things, Cape Coders trying to do things in Hyannis, like, I lived in Hyannis for 21 years, like, and I'm here trying to improve the city, and then I'm just, that's why, if you guys could just reconsider, see what you guys can do in the 15 years, and
Well, I look at, and this is not your project, but I look at the Barnstable Road project. In hindsight, this was a kind of it was a conversation that we had going like, why are we stretching these things out that long? It's just been an ongoing, the idea is to give a step up, to open up the opportunity to get involved, to at least allow the developer, let's call it a standardized route of where's he gonna go forward? Like, does this make sense? I'm not trying to standardize every job because they're all different, like this gentleman who just left, they're all different. But for the most part, if you're a developer, you wanna come in and have a reasonable idea, like, what am I looking at here? This stuff, I can't change the past, we already had that conversation, but I don't know how it morphed into what it morphed into. They gotta be short. They gotta be short, I would rather see, in this particular conversation, I would rather see like 185, 65, or 60 in that shorter period than stretching it out to the longer period.
yeah, but like, so if you do a 10, so why, I understand you wanna short it up, but like, so if you do 10, but why can't we do 185, for example, for the 10 years, you know what I'm saying, instead of just, so that way, we would consider, you agree with that? So we'll do first 5 years 100, and then 5 to 10 and 85, and then that's something, in a shorter period of time. But and then you go 100 for 4, and what is it again? I forgot.
100
So the original ask was 185.
Yeah,
10.
Surprisingly, it was the same as the last one,
No, I know
and
that, but
just like the last 3. So why wouldn't you ask for that,
I
right?
understand, I understand. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you plug those numbers in? So, I mean, and I don't even think I voted on the last ones that were up. I might have missed
I think
that
you said
meeting.
no.
So,
Yeah, I agree. I remember that. I was on the committee, so.
I know.
A little bit.
I mean, I know when you're doing a pro forma and you're doing your loans, you're having to do your projections, your cash flow all the way out to year 30 or whatever your mortgage terms are. So I understand that sometimes it flips it, but,
I mean, this looks like it appears to be a well-funded project. It appears to be, should they get the HTIP, it's certainly gonna have skin in the game. I understand what you're saying. I'm just not sure that impact, whether you break it down to a monthly payment or whatever, is gonna be that big.
so I kind of accepted already the short period of time, so now it's just, come on, I'm giving, the one side, that's all.
I get it. I don't wanna say I'm trying to set a precedent, or, again, this is me personally, and they can kick me off this thing anytime they want, the committee, but, it's just what I would like to see optically moving forward as the town progresses with these projects. I will tell you this, I've had a little bit of a feeling that, as our prior guy said, he didn't know about it. And now I'm hearing from developers and contractors, I heard about this thing, and now, can I get in on that? And that has been kind of a piling on effect, right? And why wouldn't you when you saw these things going out for 20 years and at the rates that they were going on? So I think you know what I'm thinking.
these are market rate units. We don't know in 10 years what those units are gonna be at.
I agree with the thinking behind this, I think we need to keep the period to 10 years.
Now, with that said, to the developer's difficulty, he's still got some things that'll be faced with in terms of bringing the project to fruition, but.
I see many of these are 5 years long, 7 years long. 10 years is probably a
But even
good.
most of them, I shouldn't say most, yeah, well, most, it appears, don't actually do 100%.
No.
They don't even do 100%.
That's to do 4 years at 100% is pretty, I mean, in some ways, a scaling down 100, 90, 80, 75, 60, 50, 40,
Right.
you know, makes some sense because it doesn't make it so
Right, so dramatic.
dramatic
Step.
to, you know, change your operating, but we don't know who's gonna own this property in even 5 years from now.
We are.
Or 10 years. You know, I'm not saying you're not going to,
Yeah.
but, you know, 850 was gonna be owned in perpetuity by
Right.
somebody, you know. I mean, and it's not even what you desire, it may be your circumstances are that, you know, it's, oh,
So
Makes
I don't know
sense,
whether this is a
so.
new trend, but
Anyway.
it appears as though they become shorter and shorter and shorter. So, you know, certainly 175, 50 is.
I think it's fair. Maybe adjust that if you wanted to adjust.
8, 10.
Yeah. But I'm fine either way.
That's the other one. It's basically the same thing. It's just a different term. Extra year up front,
what,
or an extra year up front, 1 to 5.
12 years?
My 12 years coming back again.
I think we'll stick to 10. If we're gonna do something, keep it in there 10.
Tough being the chair.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Who's the chair? Who's chair?
I'm the chair, I'm waiting for a motion from the floor.
Okay.
Did I not make one already?
Did you on that one?
You thought I did. Did I not?
I didn't know if you moved it, if you just threw it out there in the ether. Do you wanna move it?
We can have some discussion on it, though, right? Sure. Make a motion, we can have some discussion. I think that this is a good plan. I just wanna make sure I call it good. This project is 94 Stevens Street LLC. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion on 94 Stevens Street LLC. The TIF tax increment exemption tie agreement. We have some construction, conversation after 1 to 400%, 5 to 775 years, that is 8 to 10 years at 50%.
Second.
Some discussion on it.
Any discussion?
I'm sensing that maybe, did you have any thoughts on a higher percentage in the outward part of it?
You could throw in 2 more years at 25%. But I don't know if that really makes that much difference. It's not gonna. Again, as I mentioned, you know, to our previous developer, I mean, we could ask if there's any. The council is the one who makes the final
No,
decision.
I know that. And outside looking in, they're gonna look at this project, there's gonna be a lot of pushback just on the location and size. Not that It's by right,
And
so.
more market rate units.
Right.
And we're supporting more market rate units,
Correct.
so. I'm
That's a
just
valid
giving you the
point.
context
That's
of
a valid
this,
point,
of this
yeah.
particular, you know, what's going on. And
they
it's
can
not
modify.
gonna be perceived as a blighted property.
Yeah.
This is the reality, all right? Not a blighted property, loss of a, you know. And so for us to make a recommendation to give you a TIF is, you know, we're saying, okay, we're, you know, this train's left the station. We're gonna we'll get behind it so you can get the, you know, to create more market rate units, but we also realize we're gonna shorten the term and change a little bit of them.
So how do you feel about going the extra 2 years at 25?
I still like to keep it under 10, keep it 10 or under, because I'm looking at what other towns do, and I see very few, there's 1 or 2 at 12, one's at 15, a couple of 15 in Worcester. 10, same size project, 10. This one's 10.
Yeah, there's only 6 at 20, there's very few that are over.
I say we move the question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So, as we said earlier, this will go before the council. If you can make a, you know, you are welcome to try to make a compelling case for a different set of,
Is it, so can you just confirm it's 100% for years 1 through?
100%, 1 through 4, 75, 5 through 7, 50, 8 through 10. I know these are difficult because I know what the expectations are coming in. That's the elephant in the room. And so we're a committee, we don't make the final decision, obviously. These can be amended in front of the town council. But at least this way, you've got a process to move forward, so hopefully we get a read in. Hopefully it doesn't endanger your deadline, because now at least you've got a read in, it's already in process. Come with guns blazing to the town council meeting. Amendments can be made at the town council meeting, we aren't the last end all. They could say they don't wanna do any of it by the same token, but you know, you've got a unanimous decision right here. So, I hope it has some weight. It should have some weight, right? Should have some weight. Elections are in November, so they make it, you know.
They kick us all off.
all right,
So I
anything
hope
else
that
on the
works, yep.
agenda? There's public comment.
I didn't miss that. Is there anybody out there for public
I
comment?
don't think so.
I think we missed it.
I think
we missed the
we're
vote.
done. All right, we will move to adjourn this meeting. A motion to.
Second.
Well,
So moved.
so moved, second, okay, motion second. We have adjourned for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.